Mischief, podcast where we dive into the matters of the mind, everything from mental health, self-care, mental illness, growth mindset, mental wellness, and self-improvement, but we always keep a life vest made of humor handy. I'm your host, Dr. Jim Shupak, and we're here to make sense of the madness and find the fun in the functional. Make sure to hug your cat, dog, guinea pig, salamander, lizard, whatever you have there. Sit down, relax, and welcome to the show. Now, I must say, if you're driving, please don't hug your cat or dog, just for obvious reasons. I mean, I will say that talking about dogs, I have my dog sitting next to me. Snitches, the one that's in the actual logo of our podcast. He's sleeping now, so I don't want to wake him up, but otherwise, he probably would be laying on my shoulder as we speak. That being said, though, let's get back to the show. Today, folks, hope first of all that you had a happy Christmas and Merry Christmas, and just remember, as I said in one of the previous episodes, it's still okay to be grinchy around the holidays. Remember, if you're still grieving through the passing of a loved one and you're still trying to find your way to a new sense of normalcy, then that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. And it's okay to have those conversations with loved ones. Maybe avoiding certain topics in conversation. I know when my brother died, I didn't want people to ask me, how are you doing? How do you think I'm doing? My brother died. I feel terrible. And I know it was all said with the best intentions and the most care, but it was basically, I just asked that people didn't say that. Like, that was a boundary that I started and I created. It was basically a big email one because I didn't want to be telling every single person. So I got most people just to kind of let them know, and that's okay for you to do the same thing. It's okay for you to have those conversations with loved ones. It's okay for you to, if you go to a party, if you have that opt-out where, you have to text somebody and say, look, give me a call. I need to get out of here. This is just too much. Especially if they're people that you really don't know and they don't know the situation that you're going through. So just a couple things I want you to remember as we go through these holidays, because as much as I want you to have a happy holiday, Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, I know it can be a struggle. So don't forget that. That's something to hang your hat on. Call it a prescription from the doctor, even though I can't give you a prescription for anything, but I'll tell you, I will give you that. Today, though, I do want to welcome you back to Mind Matters and Mischief with me, Dr. Jim Shupak. And before we start, I do want to tell you a little something funny. I did try to record this episode a couple days ago and noticed the word try. Reason being, I never turned the mic on. So when I looked to edit the program and what have you, there was nothing there. So let's hope round two works out a little bit better. So here we go. All right. So again, thank you for listening. So we're going to be talking about the quiet givers today. Now, in the glittering world of celebrity, public image often is meticulously managed. We all see it, guys. I mean, many stars use their fame to amplify their causes, their charitable causes. And look at me, look what I'm doing, and good for them. I mean, it is what it is, but good for them. Today, we are going to shift our focus, though. We're going to dive into the psychology of a different kind of giving, different type of philanthropist, and that is called the quiet giver. They're people, individuals, celebrities who shun the spotlight for their good deeds, and they find greater meaning in their anonymity. So over the next, 10, 15, 20 minutes, the time that we're together, we're going to explore some of the philanthropic journeys of four pretty amazing people who embody genuine compassion. Obviously, are there more than four? Of course there are. But for now, we're going to talk about four. The late pop icon George Michael, the humble action hero Keanu Reeves, the literary giant JK Rowling, and country music legend Dolly Parton. So just stay with us, please, as we uncover what exactly motivated these stars to give without seeking fame or recognition. Now, our first person is, as I'd mentioned, George Michael, the Secret Santa. If you don't know George Michael, if you've ever heard of the song, it's pretty popular around the holidays. Last Christmas, last Christmas I gave you my heart. The very next day you gave it away. Yeah, that's him and Andrew Ridgeley from Wham. Wake me up before you go. But then George Michael had a line of songs that he came out with solo. Actually, he was one of the people on my bucket list to see in concert. Unfortunately, it won't happen, but I still have a lot of music that I can listen to, so I digress. So first of all, like I said, George Michael, pop superstar known for hits like Careless Whisper and Faith. Faith was a singular song, like he went single, solo, if you will. Careless Whisper, he actually wrote when he was like 16 years old. So he pretty, I would say, talented individual from a young age. but he had a public life that was often, well, public. Yet this philanthropy was intensely private. And it wasn't until after his death on Christmas Day, 9 years ago, that the true extent of his generosity came to light and the people could really see just what an amazing human being that he was. Now, he reportedly insisted to keep the charitable acts out of the spotlight. He seemed to understand the mischief, if you will, of giving publicly, and even saying, quote unquote, everyone's got really pissed off listening to celebrities patting each other on the back, saying how generous they are being, and they are right too. So yeah, it's like we hear, it might be a charitable giving and the first they don't have to give taxes or what have you, but I'm not going to get into that. I'm going to give with the intent, and I'm going to give people the pass, if you will. If you're giving and your intent is good, God bless you. So some of the donations that he gave millions to charities benefiting children, cancer patients, and those with HIV and AIDS. The proceeds from a hit song, Jesus to a Child. A really good song, very light, if you will. We'll call it a very pop song. It went directly to the children's charity, Childline, and it helped hundreds of thousands of vulnerable kids. He organized and paid for a free concert, also for the nurses who cared for his late mother, telling them that their quote-unquote vocation was underpaid and that he saluted them. Pretty cool, I would say that. But the stories that really resonate on the mind matters level are the individual, the random acts of kindness, and things that we could even do ourselves, random acts of kindness to the stranger. You see the veteran, homeless veteran, the homeless individual. There's a good chance that the reason they're homeless could be they got involved in drugs. And when you think, that's one of the big things from talking to people who were homeless, treating them as humans as opposed to outcasts, for lack of a better word. I mean, you really get to know someone's story that way. And I've had people even tell me, thank you for treating me like a human being. And they would share their story with me. And it just, they would get teary-eyed. And then really just for me personally, just they're a human. They maybe had some trauma that they were looking to fill with improper ways, illegal drugs, what have you. And it led to their homelessness. At least that's what all the homeless people that I've spoken with have told me. And I'm not saying that's the only way. I'm just saying that's one of the primary ways, at least in my experience. But some of his random acts of kindness. He once left a 25,000 pound, so we're talking maybe about $35,000, $38,000 check with a waitress after he overheard that she was a student nurse struggling with debt. Another time, he anonymously volunteered at a homeless shelter. Another time, he gave $20,000 to a woman on a reality TV show. He was just watching it, who needed funds for IVF treatment. And I'm not here to argue about IVF treatment, but I'm here to tell you that it's the thought that counts. And George Michael really taught us that the greatest gift is the one given without the expectation of thanks or recognition. There didn't need to be a press release that came out saying, oh, look at me, I'm the great George Michael and blah, 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 this and that. Like, we don't need to do that. Like, I mean, some people do. I get maybe they have low self-esteem. I have no idea. I'm not here to talk about that. I'm just here to give props to the people who wouldn't give themselves props. Our second person, Keanu Reeves, the humble hero. So now we're going to talk about a guy who, actually, he was in my area, Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania, not that long ago. He actually performed with his band. He went down to Main Street Jukebox, one of the music stores right on Main Street. He got one of their shirts and he wore it when he was performing at the Sherman Theater. And it was pretty cool. Like, when you think about it, like Keanu Reeves here with his band in Little Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. But, he just blended in. He got a lot of pictures with the fans afterwards. It wasn't like, oh, I can't be bothered. He had time for everyone, from my understanding. But as some of you might know, he's known also for his roles in The Matrix and John Wick. As far as John Wick, he got pissed off when they killed his dog. Well, I'll tell you what, that would piss me off too, to be honest with you. But he's widely considered one of the kindest and most generous men in Hollywood. And I think that in itself is just such a cool compliment. Especially considering when you meet a lot, they say, be careful if you meet your heroes because you might be sorely disappointed. Only because some of them have big egos. Some of them are like, oh, who are you to talk to me? And when I met Pele, one of the best soccer players, if not the best soccer player to ever play, he was the kindest person you could ever meet. He talked to me as if we were friends for 20 years. And I'll talk about him in another episode. But it really shaped me to realizing that if I meet anybody, celebrity, famous, you put your pant legs on one leg at a time, buddy. So if you're going to be cocky, that sucks for you. I have no respect for people like that. That's just me. But regarding Keanu, tragedy has deeply shaped a lot of his approach to life. He lost his daughter, the death of her mother, the daughter's mother. His girlfriend led him to embrace a lot of empathy and a lot of quiet service. So some of his major efforts in philanthropy are low key, like George Michael. So he has a private foundation that aids several children's hospitals, cancer research, because his sister battled leukemia. And now, especially because a lot of the funding for cancer has been taken away, it's so important to have people who are willing to step up, who have money and able to give. So much props to him. But he didn't want to have his name on it. He didn't want it to be like the Keanu Reeves Foundation. It was just a private foundation. And he let the foundation do its work. He basically was like a good general manager, for lack of a better, good owner, I guess would be a lack of a better word. He lets the general manager and the coaches do their thing, but he doesn't expect anything. He donated about 70% of his original earnings from The Matrix. So get this, over $31 million to leukemia research. A cause close to his heart. As his sister battled the disease, I got ahead of myself there, but yeah, I think it's important that we acknowledge a lot of the cancers because a lot of the research money has been taken away and very little amounts are given to childhood research, to children research. And I think that we need to further the cause of promoting more money going toward children's research. That's just my own. I'll get off my soapbox, but I'm on it right now. He also donated money to fund a wellness program for oncology nurses at a New York pediatric center. So similar to George Michael, very similar stories to a certain degree. In some cases, he took less salaries so that movies he were working in could get other big name actors. So it would only help boost the credibility and the viewership and hopefully the amount of money that brought in too. So it's generous in respect to getting other people in. So I guess it just to fit within the budget. But aside from money, he's also known for his humility, and that's why I respect him a great deal. He'll often use public transportation. He'll treat his film crews like he gave his Matrix Reloaded stunt team Harley David motorcycles. And again, as I mentioned, he took massive pay cuts so film productions could afford other actors like Gene Hackman. Al Pacino was the other one that he also did. So he's really a man who understands the fundamental mind matters. And true happiness doesn't come from accumulating wealth. It's like in Egypt. You can't take it with you. You just can't. It just doesn't happen that way. But alleviating the suffering from others. Our third person, and a person who I think is near and dear to many teenagers and maybe young adults and maybe even other adults' hearts, is JK Rowling, and her nickname's the Loomis Charm. So obviously from the world of film and music to the world of literature, the third philanthropist is JK Rowling, creator of Harry Potter. She's used her fortune, her global platform, her celebrity status to fight for the world's most vulnerable children. She actually saw a newspaper article about kids that were in caged beds in a location, an institution in the Czech Republic, and it led her to found a international charity named Lumos, named after the light-giving spell in her Harry Potter series. And the mission is just powerful. It's to end the systematic institutionalization of children worldwide by 2050 and ensure every child has the right to a safe, loving family home. It works with governments, local communities to transform outdated care systems, moving kids out of harmful orphanages into family-based care. It has enabled over 280,000 children to return to families or a family-like environment. And she also uses her platform to educate people about inadvertently supporting harmful systems, urging donors and volunteers to, quote-unquote, be very, very careful how you give. One of the things about J.K. Rowling is I believe she was the first billionaire to lose billionaire status due to giving money away and to different organizations like the ones that I have just mentioned. So I think most people would say, or I would hope, Who needs $1 billion? For real. What are you going to do with $1 billion? I even told my wife, my mom the other day, said, when the lottery was like at $1.5 billion, I don't want to win $1.5 billion. If I'm winning it, I hope I'm winning it with 150 people. That I would rather have. Because at least that way you have more people who can share it. And what are you going to do with that much money? Honestly, just invest what you get, but not $1 billion. Let's spread the wealth here, people. That's just me. One person doesn't need it all. But through Lubos, JK Rowling demonstrates just how imagination and commitment to human rights can bring light to the darkest of places. And she would know because she herself suffered from depression. Right before she came up with Harry Potter, she was divorced, kids, she had suicidal ideations, and she's very open about it. And our last one is Dolly Parton, and she's known as the Book Lady. So the final one, probably one of the most beloved women in the world. And like I said, the iconic Dolly Parton. Very flamboyant personality. She's very public. Her massive charitable impact is really often understated. She's very charitable, very giving, very generous. She's always leveraged her success to give back to her home in East Tennessee and beyond, because she was incredibly poor. Dirt poor is what I have read. So for her to have the money that she does now and to see her give away it's awesome. Like her flagship initiative was the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, and it was founded 30 years ago. Wow, 1995. To help children in her home county of Sevier, Sevier. Sorry if I mispronounced that. The program mails a free, high-quality, age-appropriate book to registered kids every month from birth until they turn 5 at no cost to the family. She was inspired by her father's inability to read and write, and Dolly wanted every kid to have access to books regardless of their income. The program now sends over 2 million books every month in 5 different countries and has distributed over 200 million books to date. So beyond literacy, her generosity is extensive. She has implemented what's known as the Buddy Program in her local high school, which drastically reduced dropout rates. And that's so important. Just having a buddy, even accountability partner, someone that you could study, someone you could rely on, something we could talk about in another episode based on my educational aspect. She established the quote-unquote My People Fund, which has raised over $12 million for families affected by the 2016 against Sevier, Sevier, county wildfires. And most famously, during COVID-19, she donated $1 million to Vanderbilt University Medical Center to fund vaccine research, which helped develop the Moderna vaccine. Regardless of what your thoughts are on vaccinations, it's just she's using her money, the intention, for what she perceives as something good. And in conclusion, like George Michael, Keanu Reeves, JK Rowling, Dolly Parton, they all demonstrate true wealth is measured not by what you get, but by what you give. Their commitment to anonymity, highlights a profound understanding. Compassion is its own reward. It really is. And I want to thank you for listening to the show, guys. I really appreciate it. I know, this month, because of the holidays, might be tough. I just want you to know that the reason I do this show is because of the struggles that I have gone through. What I know, I believe it's God's mission for me to spread this word, to spread the knowledge of having major depressive disorder twice, to have overcome it twice, through his support, through the support of family, friends, my primary care physician, my therapist, my dogs, my wife. Oh, I can't even thank her enough. But, my parents and even, with my brother, even the first time my brother, but the second time, unfortunately he had died. And that's what kind of really caused me to go through that pardon me. When I talk about it, sometimes I get a little cloud-minded, but it got me to, let's just say it was incredibly tough. I can't even put words into it because it would really negate just how bad of a time it was. Like I believe it was like really a demonic oppression of some sort. Like I'm telling you this for fact because I never used illegal drugs. I rarely drink. I left one of my 2 drinks this year. One was at a birthday party for one of my good friends' daughters who turned 21. I had a glass of wine, and the other was when the Eagles won the Super Bowl. And that was in February, and that was in honor of my brother. That's it. So I really don't drink alcohol and never used illegal drugs. So it's just some things I want you to be aware of, folks, but I do this because I care about you. You know, the person listening right now, I want this to be I want to be as open as possible. Like, yes, I've been a podcast guest on many shows from around the world, but to have this opportunity to share my story on a regular basis, to talk about things that you would like to hear. If you have any questions of me that you'd like me to answer. I know one of the episodes we have coming up this year, I talked to my wife about it, is supporting a loved one when they are going through major depressive disorder. Who's the one who supported me? My wife. She did the heavy lifting. It was tough. And I mean, that was really when through sickness and health, when we took our vows in front of the church with Father Perry. Not that I expect you folks to know Father Perry, but our priest who married us, she proved that at that moment in time, and something like that could very well have been a deal breaker, because I needed her very much at that point. And at that point, it worked out. And obviously then she unfortunately got cancer. She is fine today, but I was thankfully, because she was able to support me, I was able to also reciprocate that support when she was going through those times. Thank God she's okay now. But I'm kind of going off on a little tangent. I apologize for that, guys. If you did like the episode, I do love putting this show together for you. And if you do like the episode, the best way to support the show is hit the subscribe button on your favorite podcast app. It's on Apple Podcasts. It's on Spotify. We're also on YouTube. While you're there, please leave a quick rating. A review generally helps new listeners to find the show. And you can connect with me, share your own matters, mischief moments on my website, jimshoopak.com, JIMSHOOPACK.com, JIMSHOOPACK.com, or you can email me directly at Dr. Jim Shoopak, DRJIMSHOOPACK@gmail.com, DRJIMSHOOPACK@gmail. So I really appreciate you guys listening. Just know that I fight this battle with you. I fight this battle for you. Find that person that you can really be your authentic self with if you're struggling, and know that your life matters. You can always contact the 988 line, crisis line, suicide hotline, 988, either text or call. And if you really need support, you can also go to the emergency room. On that note, I hope you have a happy New Year. Happy and healthy New Year, as my grandma used to say. And God bless her. I miss her greatly, because I was actually thinking about her. But I'm going to stop rambling, guys. Have a wonderful day, a happy New Year. And I hope to see you guys on the other side of 2025. God bless.